Hey everybody, this is Brandon from Hyde Park Horsepower, and this is going to be our introduction video to a YouTube series that we want to start. This introduction is pretty much going to be who I am, what I do, what I like, what are my passions, the plans we have with the cars, in my head, what the plans are with the cars. As everybody knows, life throws obstacles at you that you have to overcome or deal with. So the goal is to do about a year build series with this car, and we're going to take it from the state it is in now to hopefully on the road driving, competing in races, maybe grudge stuff. We're going to get into why we call the channel Hyde Park Horsepower, where the roots came from, where the car started from, and get into a few things. We're going to try and get into some technical stuff on this series as much as I am capable of helping you guys out with. I plan on learning a bunch too. And with that being said, let's jump into it. So the car started on Hyde Park Street. That's where I grew up at. That's where the car went through many phases. So we decided to call the channel Hyde Park Horsepower. It's got a decent ring to it, and it really goes with the roots and where the car came from. Okay, so Hyde Park Horsepower started a long time ago, back when the car was purchased. The car was bought by my mom originally in '97. It's a '96 Z28 Camaro, T-top car, and she purchased it in '97 with, I think, about 12,000 miles on it. '97, I was 8 years old, so obviously not driving it yet, but I was into cars. My family's been into cars for a long time. Cars were introduced to me by my dad. His father kind of introduced him into hot rodding. Bolt-on stage, where it was your typical Flowmaster catback, K&N air, cold air intake. Then we kind of progressed into doing headers and Y-pipe stuff, and we did a lot of suspension stuff at first. My dad really wanted to focus on getting the car to hook and make the power that using the power that it was already making, and being efficient with that, which, as I got older, I appreciate that a lot, because you have a lot of guys who do high horsepower builds and you see them blowing the tires off down the road. But so the car eventually turned into a nitrous car, a bolt-on car with nitrous. And actually, a funny story, we did a nitrous kit, a small nitrous kit with like a Hypertech programmer. This is before him and I really were like up to date with fuel injection stuff. He's old school. He did a bunch of carbureted stuff. So we ran the car for a couple of years with a Hypertech programmer, not retarding any timing, and we ran a lot of nitrous through it. The car, as a bolt-on car, went 1180s, I think was the fastest it ever went on a stock 10-bolt rear end with 373 gears. That's stock original suspension. As far as like springs and struts and shocks, all that stuff was bone stocks, 60,000 original miles on it. The best 60 foot the car had whenever it was a bolt-on car was a 155, which was pretty outstanding actually. We did all this on a drag radial, a Mickey Thompson 275 drag radial. So as a lot of people know, whenever you're going to the drag strip, it can go one way or the other. Either you're satisfied or you just start chasing a time. So we got into the time game. We started chasing a time, and it eventually progressed into the state it would be now if it was together and running, which was it's a 383 stroker, H-beam rods, billet main caps, splayed billet main caps. We did a LE, Lloyd Elliott. Your LT1 guys will know who Lloyd Elliott is. It's a guy that used to be out of Texas, as far as I know, and it's Lloyd Elliott LE2 top end kit. So heads, cam, and intake were all done by Lloyd, and we kept the nitrous on the car. We built the transmission. It's still a 4L60E car. Currently, it has a Moser 12-bolt rear end in it with 410s. So after we got the car back together, we went back to the drag strip and we ran a best all motor time of 10:40, which I thought was awesome. The car ran really well. It's a 3900 stall. Before the Moser 12 bolt, we blew up a couple 10 bolts messing around with that setup. And so then we started adding nitrous back into the equation. We just had a single nozzle setup that was plumbed into a cast aluminum intake elbow. And the car went a best of 1090. That was with around 150 shot, I would say, and that was with us kind of guessing with timing. The little bit that we did know to make the nitrous safe, I think that was really on a very conservative tune. Did that setup have more in it? Absolutely, yes. That had a lot more in it as far as tuning the nitrous correctly and getting somebody to actually give us a decent bass tune. This was all done on an OptiSpark. This was all done with a stock LT1 computer, which really isn't that crazy. There's a lot of guys doing that and much faster on that same setup. So the car blew a head gasket was originally why it is in the current state, which I'm not really happy about, but things happen. We blew a head gasket. Looking back on it, it was probably, there was a bunch of variables there. Our timing probably wasn't correct. The car does have head studs. The head gasket itself wasn't the correct head gasket for the setup we were running. Me not knowing what I was doing when I was younger, I took the motor out to change the head gasket because I was worried about taking the head off and not clearing the head studs underneath the cowl. So in hindsight, looking back, I should have just pulled the head studs out and pulled the head off like that. So at my previous house, whenever I did pull the motor out to change the head gasket, I had went through a couple of floods at my old house, which really put a damper on things. On top of me having 2 kids in that same time period. So I lost interest in the car a lot. Fast, I had life to deal with, and I had other priorities. So currently the car is taken apart very far. I had other plans. I said, why just put the motor back in and start driving around? I really wanted to put a cage in the car. I really wanted to do some other things. And currently the car is more taken apart than it has ever been. So this is where the build starts. I'm currently set up. I have some time. My career is going in a good direction, and I want to start back on the car again. I'm becoming passionate about it again. My kids are getting older. They're asking me why it's just sitting in the garage. So this is where it's going to begin. I think the YouTube page and being more attached with social media is going to help me have the motivation, and hopefully along with you guys who subscribe to the page or follow the page, everything that you guys can give me as far as motivation would be fantastic. I had a lot of people tell me, are you ready for the haters on YouTube? And I said, I don't really know if there's gonna be any. You know, this is just something I wanna have fun with and kind of feed off of, and maybe I'll have to turn my head the other way whenever I start seeing comments like that. But all in all, I'm pretty excited. We're gonna go around and kind of show you the car a little bit in the current state that it's at. And hopefully you guys can watch the progression over time. I'm pretty excited about this whole thing. I love YouTube. I've been watching YouTube for years, and I'm not really much of a social media person, but this is gonna be my jumping in face first into this and just trying to take off with it.
What are the future plans for the Camaro?
Okay, so let's talk about the future plans a little bit. Ultimately, the ultimate goal is to have somewhere sub 10 second. I don't want to say daily driver because I'll never have to daily drive this car, hopefully, but if it need be, I could. Definitely like a weekend warrior style. The car needs a cage. Number one, safety. If you would have asked my 20-year-old self about safety, he would have laughed at you. Now being older, number one thing, I need a cage. I need some decent seats in the car. I need some decent harnesses in the car if I want to go as fast as I plan to. As far as what we're going to do to add power to the car, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with that. A lot of this is going to be budget driven. I don't have endless money. I don't ever plan on having endless money unless I win the lottery. But you got three, as far as I'm concerned, you got three different categories. You got blower, nitrous, turbo. So the car's currently set up, the motor, the cam specs, the compression, the valve train, I guess you could say, or the valving, the rocker ratio, that's all set up currently for nitrous. I think with the right nitrous setup and omitting the stock intake, I know you LT1 guys out there are gonna be like, why would you get rid of the LT1 intake? You wanna keep it an LT1, and trust me, I don't wanna call myself a die-hard LT1 guy, but I think it's very cool to keep the LT1 stuff alive. Although the intake is kind of a limiting factor unless you're gonna go forced induction, which I'm not sure if I'm going to yet. Turbo is probably gonna be the most expensive, just because I have to change a lot of the internals in the motor to make it correct for the turbo setup, along with building a turbo setup and along with supporting stuff. So it would be easiest to keep the nitrous, to keep the car a nitrous car. I'm a fan of nitrous. That's kind of where my roots are. I enjoy nitrous cars. I enjoy that instant hit. There's a lot of cool things with nitrous. You can be kind of sneaky with nitrous, which is what I kind of like too. I currently have some parts on order. We're going to start upgrading to the front suspension. Currently the front suspension in the car is 100% bone stock. The car has 72,000 original miles on it right now, and everything up front is 100% from day one. In the rear of the car, I have like your typical Edelbrock torque arm, Lakewood, square tube trailing arms, adjustable pan hard rod, but the springs and the shocks in the back are 100% from the factory, bone stock from day one. That stuff needs to be upgraded too. The car does have subframe connectors in it now, so as far as safety goes, that's a huge, that's a big step in the right direction. But I want the car to be, I want to say be able to compete with the newer stuff. As all you guys out there know that are into hot rodding, the newer stuff is crazy fast. They do it with a lot less effort than what I would need to make this thing fast. But ultimately, I want to be able to drive this car around, show it off a little bit, get it to the state to where it looks good, sounds good, runs good, reliable. Definitely reliability is huge for me. I want to be able to take this car to work if I wanted to, go out cruise with friends, things like that. You guys will see in upcoming videos, like I said, I have some stuff on order. I already have some stuff currently here that is front end suspension in that category. And we're gonna go through some videos and maybe do some time lapse of me installing the parts, and this stuff's gonna be new to me too. I've never been able to buy any of the stuff that I'm planning on doing for this car, so it's gonna be a learning curve plus new parts, and just it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Channel is really going to be around the build of the car, obviously, but I do plan on kind of reuniting with some old buddies, and I have a lot of guys that I know that are still very into cars and have a lot of really killer setups. So I plan on trying to do some interviews and some ride-alongs and just kind of tagging along with people when they're out street racing and going over to the track and racing. I know guys that do grudge racing. I would say the biggest upcoming event for this channel is we're going to go to the LTX shootout in Indiana, Morocco, Indiana. So that is going to be this Sunday, which would be September 5th. And I plan on getting as much footage for you guys as I can. It's not a very big event because it's LT1 stuff. It's not your Holly LS Fest or your Mo Party or anything like that, but I think it's going to be really cool to try to go there and network with people and just look at other people's setups and what people are currently doing with LT1s, and I think that's going to be a good motivator for me too, and who knows, it might steer me in a certain direction. So that's a big upcoming event for this channel, and we plan on getting as much footage for you guys as we can. You guys are going to be at the LTX shootout on September 5th in Morocco, Indiana. Try to find us. We're going to have shirts. My whole family's going to be sporting shirts. Hyde Park Horsepower. Put in the comments below what kind of car you guys drive. I will look for you. I'm interested in meeting everybody in the LT1 community again. I've been out of it for so long, and I'm looking forward to going there and hanging out with you guys. Tell me about my first video. Let me know what you guys like. Lighting good, sound good. We're currently just working off a GoPro. Any suggestion helps to help make you guys quality videos is really one of my main goals. So thanks in advance. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys.